But I would say that we had one message after January 6th among many of our leaders recognizing the problem with the insurrection, and that tone has changed, and I believe that that's an error. I don't think we can diminish what happened on January 6th. We're going to be having hearings there in Congress that's going to be coming out, a bunch of this public in June, and that's not going to be helpful for those that diminished the significance of that event.
Proving once again that RINOs, Republicans in name only, are not only not fit to lead, they can't be trusted because, in actuality, they're not just traitors to the party, but they are actually Trojan horses. These are nothing more than Democrats dressed in Republican drag. Governor Asa Hutchinson of Arkansas appearing on CNN and reinforcing the narrative that what happened on January 6th was something that was orchestrated by Team Trump, and therefore there's going to be a huge investigation with indictments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's put all that to the side. First of all, no. When you have publications like the New York Times, which are certainly not pro-Trump on any level, have been releasing all types of articles for over a year of the FBI, the deep state, the intel community up to their eyeballs in taking the situation which happened on January the 6th and actually infiltrating their own operatives and agents, stirring up, creating problems. We have well documented it here. I'm not going to get into all of that again. If this so-called Republican doesn't understand that's what this is about, the reason they're going to have the hearings in June is not really to get anything done this summer. It is about, again, the Democrats trying to change the narrative as we get closer to the midterm elections, i.e., they need to somehow show their base that they are worthy of still receiving donations, because it's all about money. They want to show the rabid base, the radical fringe nut jobs that, yeah, we're going after Trump. When in actuality, to really do this would mean they would have to go after the intelligence community, which was out there infiltrating the crowd, and they were some of the key individuals who were whipping things up. I'm not saying that there weren't crazies there. I'm not saying that there weren't people there that did and acted in a way that they should not have acted. But there is overwhelming proof now that there were FBI agents that were infiltrating and acting as if, and we're finding out that we've got plenty of video footage to show that the officers were welcoming these people into the building, showing them how to get from point A to point B. They're going to have a tough time making this case. They know it. This is just grandstanding and political theater for the Democrats in the hopes of poisoning the water against anyone thinking of even voting for a candidate in the midterm elections that might lean in a Trump direction. So that's what the Democrats are using this all for. And the thing is, Asa knows that. And for him to talk about that his party is going to regret not getting behind this and being for this, that was a signal to all the RINOs on Capitol Hill, hold your ground, and kind of this little chastisement to the real conservatives up on Capitol Hill. You're going to wish you'd played ball with us when we take control of that there Congress again. You know, again, why are we listening to a more distinguished looking Mittness Romneyus? That is all Asa Hutchinson is. He is a RINO. He's from Arkansas, for crying out loud, and he thinks he is setting himself up to be that middle-of-the-road Republican, which would be cutting edge, to run for president. First of all, the last president we had from Arkansas didn't work out so hot. Can anyone say Bill Clinton? And again, why would we be taking any direction or directives from a governor, I don't care which party, of Arkansas? Because you know the old saying, all roads in Arkansas lead to a trailer. They're not exactly the beacon or the bastion of, hey, here's how it's done. See how my state is? Let's turn the whole country into that. Because what this really is about, it's a setup. He wants to run for president. He wants to distance himself from Trump, and he wants to show that he's not Trump, that he can be a compassionate conservative. We tried all that and were lied to for decades under the Bush dynasty and all of those middle-of-the-road hogwash like Mitnius Romneyus, and we're done with that. The Republican Party, the conservatives, we are done with that, where these guys campaign like conservatives, get to Washington, D.C., and then govern like liberals. And that is exactly what Asa is. And the fact that he doesn't like that the Republican base would really, if Donald Trump does not throw his hat in the ring, it's going to be Ron DeSantis. So he's got to muddy things up for Governor DeSantis.
Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida signed a law effectively punishing Disney for its criticism of legislation restricting how sexual orientation and gender identity are taught in schools. Do you support DeSantis's move against Disney?
Well, first of all, Disney has handled this very poorly. Secondly, the law that was passed is, to me, common sense that in those grades, those lower grades, you shouldn't be teaching sexual orientation and those matters that should not be covered at that age. But I don't believe that government should be punitive against private businesses because we disagree with them. That's not the right approach either. And so to me, that's the old Republican principle of having a restrained government.
Right there. That is proof positive that he is a do-nothing rhino. Listen to how he phrased that. Well, Disney really shouldn't have done what they did, and this is a good law about not sexualizing children that are 5 years old. Well, duh. The vast majority of the country, even Democrat parents, agree with that. They don't want their children subjected to this. See, this is one of those things where he's trying to make you think that he's a conservative taking a stand. Well, I agree with we can't let these radicals be educating sex into the minds of 5-year-olds. Now he's trying to come across like, I'm a conservative. I'm a conservative. No, you're not. That's just an approach that just about the vast, overwhelming majority of the country agrees with. Parents do not want kindergartners, first, second graders, third graders exposed to all of this. They do not believe on any level they are ready for this. And the nutcases that do, I would say that Children Protective Services should be brought into those parents' homes and those children should be removed. Because if you're an adult and you think that talking about these kind of things with a 5 or a 6-year-old is appropriate, you have no business being around children because you're either a pedophile, a pervert, or a predator, or all of the above. So he's not doing any great stand there. He is doing what the status quo would all nod their head and say, well, that's an acceptable position. And then, to chide Disney a little bit. There he is. See, he's standing against a woke corporation, but he's really not. Because he then turns around and he chides Governor DeSantis for retaliatory type of governance. That little quintessential comment there at the end about, the overreach of government. Oh, there you go. There you go. He's trying to sound like conservatives, that as conservatives, we want to get the government out of people's lives. But that's not what DeSantis was doing. What DeSantis was doing was telling Disney, you want to be politically involved here in Florida? Fine. Then you're going to pay your taxes like every other Florida business, like every other Florida citizen, because if you're going to participate in our process, you're going to be part of the process. You don't get to just sit on your little hill where you are tax-free. You get to make your own rules. We don't even send in zoning inspectors to make sure that you are following state guidelines with the things that you're building at the Magic Kingdom. But you're going to now, because if you're going to complain about how the state's being run, if you think you're going to pump millions of dollars into the economy to influence an election to govern the rest of the people in a way you don't have to be governed, oh, no, nay, nay. See, that's Ron DeSantis taking a stand. And I am sure there are a lot of people that behind closed doors said, Mr. Governor, don't take on Disney. I mean, first of all, that they're a big chunk of our economy, and how many families, even Republican families, they've got season passes and they go to Disney and what are you doing? What are you doing? He was taking a moral stand. Governor Asa Hudson's not. No, not doing that. He is what he is, a career politician. He is swamp. He is scum. He is a rhino, a Democrat dressed in Republican drag. And he's letting you know, and again, that whole this punitive action against a business, that's no way to handle this. So he's telling you that if he were to ever be the president, that he is at the bend of the dictates of the woke corporations because he's, quote, not going to do anything to stop them. That's how you interpret what Asa said. I hope you understand what an absolute traitor, turncoat, vile individual that Asa Hutchins is. Don't let this guy get out of your primaries. And speaking of primaries, Ohio is coming. J.D. Vance for Senate. And it doesn't look like anybody's going to unseat the little rhino, right? Mike Joyner. But I'm casting a ballot for Blystone anyway. And there, I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just letting you know we need to send a message across the board to all rhinos everywhere. It's rhino hunting season.